Let's go, Cats. Let's go, Cats. Let's go, Cats. That's how we started off. By the way, the Five Reasons Network, Five Reasons Sports Network is on fire today. There's so many things going on, man. We're talking about mostly good, except for one,
Let's
which is
talk
like
about the.
which
There's
is like
some.
the one that makes them, the that makes Five Reasons go. yeah,
Yeah, that one's there's a little struggle. The heat on the struggle bus. That'll be an interesting five on the floor tonight. But
I
yeah,
feel bad for Ethan and the crew there to
yeah,
talk about that one.
yeah. But Kane's football #1 pick in the draft, then cleaned up in the portal over the weekend, and
Woo! The Florida Panthers just
basketball's
came
killing in
through now.
recruiting. We got a player coming on Wednesday on our F1 show. It's the Miami GP week, and fucking
Panthers.
Kane's baseball can't stop sweeping everyone, man.
Yeah, I mean, wow,
What's happening?
wow, what is going on here,
What is
Miami
going on?
sports? I'll take it. I'll take it.
I
It's a
will
good
take that
time.
for sure.
It's a good time. The Marlins aren't so bad either, which is kind of impressive, right?
I
So
mean,
far.
they're Marlins. Okay.
Yeah, they are the Marlins. At the
They're
end of the
not.
day, they're Marlins. But
They're not
here's about that.
competing, but still.
No, but seriously, as far as a network is concerned, yeah, crazy times. Obviously, we're here to talk a little baseball, but to be honest with you, man, how excited are you right now with with the way things are going? I think that look, I'm still tempered. Right? My expectations are still kind of, you know, tempered because you can still, yeah. Look, there's some deficiencies in this team where, a Clemson or an Alabama, Tennessee or a LSU, gets a hold of them. It's going to be hard and we'll go over it a little bit. But right now, I don't want to be doom and gloom guy. I want to be excited guy. I want to be the guy that says we're up in the RPI like 29, 30 points. We're up in, we're back up in at least in the middle of the pack, if not close to the top in the ACC. Right, we've won 11 of the past 13. I want to say in the ACC. 11. I think we're like 11-2 or 12-2 in the past 14 games.
Yeah, and 8 in a row.
8 in a row. I mean, that's huge, man. That's really, really big time stuff now in ACC play. It puts us in a good position where, right as of right now, it looks like D1 baseball has us ranked as the 3 seed in a regional. But look, you win a couple of more games. You win a couple. I'm sorry, you win a couple more series. You got 4 series left, and you win 2 or 3 of those series at the very least, and you got an opportunity to potentially either get up to a 2 seed, win a couple of games in the ACC, you might host a game or two. You might host a region. I know it's wishful thinking. That's going to be far fetched. But right now, you got an opportunity to really be a solid 2 or 3 in a regional where you can get through, right? Where you can compete. So I'm excited to see what this Canes team is doing. And to be quite honest with you, I got to give it up to the pitching staff, where we knocked them all season. We talked about how how the lack of you know inefficiency on JD's part and Laz's part to put them in a position to be successful. They've kind of turned that around, but it's got to do a lot with the pitchers themselves, man. They are pitching lights out, and it's these freshman kids, the young kids, are really doing a great job.
Yeah, I would say I mean, it's not just the freshmen. There's some seniors that have stepped up as well. Carson Fisher from the beginning of the year to now is not even the same player. But I think one thing that's helped them all is there's defined roles finally. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something we've been complaining about the first half of the year, just randomly, warming up one guy, putting another guy in. All this bizarre stuff is kind of stopped, and they just settled on this is what we're gonna. These are roles we're gonna use people in, and that extends to the lineup as well. There's a lot less shuffling going around. Where, I mean, it's not that long ago where the lineup card would come out, and you and I'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
Right? And now it's kind of the only swing position right now is DH because Derek's injured. Otherwise, I think he would be starting there. But like you kind of know who the other 8 guys are on the lineup card, and that consistency helps.
Well, I think also they made some moves that allowed them to make some better decisions, right? I think the biggest move that allowed them as a pitching staff to have more defined roles also is moving Walters to the closer role. Because now you got a defined role there for him, which sets everybody else up and says, okay, maybe Will's got the eighth and ninth, the eighth. Carson Fisher has got the seventh. You can throw and then you can mix and match guys like Jackson Cleveland and some of the other guys. Calero or something like that. Lefty-lefty matchups now are a little more defined because you know that at the end, in the back end, you don't have to worry about who you're going to put in at the back end. You know your 7, 8, 9 guys to a certain degree now. Even maybe a 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, right? You got one guy that can probably go a couple innings. A guy like Carson Fisher or a Will Smith, those guys can go 7 and 8 or 6 and 7 and then 8 and 9. I mean, there's a good mix. There's a good definition of what those guys are going to do there, and then you add in some of the other guys that are pitching really well also. But I think that making that decision to put Walters in the back end as the closer, I think was the best, option, number one, and the best decision they could have made for that staff.
Yeah, it's funny because it was exactly the reasoning, because we had talked about doing that earlier before he made the move, and the reasoning he gave was exactly what we said. He was like, his fastball was in the upper 90s in the first few innings when he was starting, and then by the fourth inning, it would drop into the lower 90s, wasn't as effective, and we were saying the same thing. Like, he's got 3 really good innings at him, and then it just fades. So, yeah.
Right. He threw a couple innings. He had a 2-inning save the other day?
He won a 6-out save. He's done 4 and 5 outs before. No, he can definitely go multiple innings. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, the Saturday game was a blowout, so we didn't have to use him, so that allowed him to, if you get to Sunday and your closer's fresh, you can definitely extend him on multiple innings. You don't want to necessarily do that on a Friday and burn him. If you have to, you have to. But, yeah, that Saturday game was key because when you blow someone out, you can then – rotate some guys in, make sure you're not burning your pitchers you're going to need on Sunday. So
let me ask you about that, Vish, because I want to get your take on that Saturday game, right? As you mentioned, it's a blowout. It was a blowout, 13-4, I think was the final score of that game. I happen to think that that's more. I don't want to say it's an anomaly that we're scoring that many runs, but the fact of the matter is that our if you look at our lineup. Right. And again, I think that our lineup is a little more stable now, again, because of certain factors, right? You've had some key injuries that have kind of Derek Williams for one. I know we've spoken about the Todd Hudson thing at first base, but it looks like Renzo's been able to overtake him because he's swinging the bat a little bit better, right? He's hitting over 260, almost 270 now.
Todd's injured as well, so
he's injured, right? And it's hard to say he lost his spot because of injury, but you didn't lose much in the way of production there now with Renzo, the way he's swinging the bat. Not that he's swinging great, but it's about the same right now. So I'm not going to say that that's a big issue, but I think that losing a guy like Derek allows you to be a little more straightforward with what you're going to do at the plate. I know they've been using Evan Taveras a little bit, who's come up clutch with a couple of big hits recently, but I think that the balance that they have and the way that he's – look, I'm not a huge fan of having 4 lefties at the back end of the lineup, but it seems to have been working somehow.
Well, I don't think he is either, which is why we're seeing Taveras in for Marsh a lot.
Makes sense.
And Marsh is not –
he's not hitting well right now. And it sucks because he's our second guy in RBIs, but
a lot of that was in the early season before he got into ACC play.
Right. So – I'm okay with Taveras coming in and now, and again, sometimes you look at those batting averages early, you're like, oh, it's 180 something, 120 something, but as he gets going, it starts to pick up a little bit because he starts to figure it out a little bit more, and I think that's what you're seeing with Taveras a little bit. He's still got some development, but he's got the power. He's got every time he's up at the plate, he got an opportunity for an extra base hit. That's his thing, right? It's an extra base hit. Or a bomb. He's seen the ball pretty well, so he walks. He has his fair share of walks as well. So I think that having Taveras there as that DH option also gives you the opportunity where you can truly be comfortable with resting Tanner Smith's legs, keeping him in the lineup. You saw him clean up. He was a cleanup hitter, I think, last lineup, but still giving him the option to rest and put Taveras behind the dish. Because you know that from a hitting standpoint, you're not losing much right now. So I think you mentioned it, Vish. The way that they're managing that lineup, has made sense. It's been clutch. It's worked out also. But I think that those 13 runs is more of an anomaly than it is them scoring 3 or 4 runs. I don't think this lineup is built to score 10, 12, 13, 14 runs. They don't have enough. They don't have enough of that number one pop. They don't have enough of that, guys that can hit, drive the ball somewhere in the gaps and stuff like that. I think they need a little bit more of that. I think Derek adds that. You put Derek in this lineup, then you've got yourself maybe a team that you're comfortable saying, yeah, this team could score 10 runs at any point. Right now, I think those 13 runs, we've been able to manufacture some of those runs and gotten lucky on some, at some situational hitting. But I think that people who see those 13 runs get excited about it. I don't. I think that it just shows that this team still has some inconsistencies at the plate, and it's what we got, and it's what we got to ride with, and that's why the pitching has been so clutch, and it's helped everything all together. I think that keep going, keep riding the train, keep riding the wave, keep the lineup the way it is, and let them just continue to get hot and build that chemistry. I think that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, just looking through to kind of bolster your point a little bit. So I mentioned we'd won ACC games in a row. These are the number of runs we've scored: 5, 8, 4, 7, 10, 2, 13, 3. So yeah, we're probably looking, like a 5-ish
5, 6
run,
runs.
as expectations. But
which is putting a lot of pressure on the pitching staff. But right now they're mowing.
Well, it doesn't, right? So I think one of the things that has not happened since that the last game we lost was that game against Duke that we were at, where the thing imploded in like 2 seconds. The bottom fell out. It was the bases loaded, no one out. Couple of walks, bring in Giroux. He hits 2 guys, and then friggin' Mikey. They hit a grand slam. They're like, wait, they just scored like 6 runs in like 10 seconds. What the hell happened? That was not that specific thing, but those types of innings were happening frequently earlier in the year. They're not really happening anymore, so it's keeping the run total down. And these games tend to have their own momentum to them. So when you're keeping the other team's run total down, it helps your hitters out too. They're more locked in, they're more focused. There was a period of time where it felt like every first inning, like by the time we came to bat, we were losing. And that stuff stopping has also helped our hitting because you're not pressing as much. When you come up down 4-0 already, you start pressing early, you have bad at bats, and it just like it steamrolls at that point. So, that's now that's not happening, it's allowing the hitters to be a little bit more relaxed and lock in, like you said, if we can get Derek back, because Evan Tavares has had some clutch hits. He's still in and out of the lineup. We're putting Marsh in there at times too. There's anyway Mikey Torres is coming out of this lineup, so and he shouldn't. So like I think our outfield is kind of set with Max in left field, Mikey and Fabio, but we could certainly plug Derek in a DH right now and elevate the overall hitting posture of the team, which is I'm hoping will happen if he comes back healthy, and that'll kind of plug one of the last holes on the team because as Mikey's hitting has gotten much better. It's like you mentioned, getting guys consistent playing time. But then he's also just saving several runs a game with his defense. So, I mean, he's with him and Fabio in there, we're covering a lot of ground in the outfield. It's hard to get hits on us.
And listen, and now you got a DH monster, Gabby Gutierrez. So
yeah, he got a hold of that one though. I mean, I did go back and watch the replay because I was like, I had to see it. By the way, CCH, shout out to CCH who's in the chat. He was in Boston last week. He was at all these games. So
nice.
Shout out to him. You gotta tell us how the experience was, especially at Fenway, where the bats didn't really show up, and then Cuvée used the ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do. Hey, what the hell?
Get the pop up to right field that the wind dragged right around the foul pole. We'll take that every time.
That pesky pole, I'll tell you.
Yeah, all the runs. All the runs came on that. It was a ground ball to short that we beat the throw out on, and then a drop pop up, and then Cuvé's home run, and that was the 3-run rally to win that game for you.
Look, sometimes you got to get lucky.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Those are not things. When things are going your way, they're going your way. Because that was not. We were on the other end of those types of games earlier this year.
But you can't rely on those either because it sucks. It sucks to have to rely on that. You got to be a little more consistent.
Well, we're not. I mean, look, that was to get our 8th ACC win in a row. That was not. They've not all been like that. So it was. It's showing how much this team is kind of mentally strengthened.
Right.
It stayed in the game, right, and it wasn't. And Galvin threw someone out at home plate to save a run. Just like they kept the score down. first inning could have gone bad. Like the bases were loaded, one out. Tate didn't have it. They ripped a liner. Renzo makes a great leaping catch and doubles the guy off, and we get out of the inning only allowing one run. When that gets over his head, that's going to clear the bases right there. It's 4-0, and the game's probably over. So like, just we're making the winning plays defensively, as well as on the mound, like so to keep those games in range. So then when we do get opportunities to score, we've been much better. Like that game on Sunday, other than that, it was a black hole. We weren't even getting guys into scoring position, so it was really a bad plate performance.
Right.
But I will say another big change though from earlier is we are moving guys along. There's a lot less striking out happening. We're bunting people over. We're advancing correctly, and we're kind of moving through the bases. And that is allowing us to score, to kind of maximize our run totals. Because I mean, there are multiple times where we're out there at the light, and you and I are looking up, and it's like we're down 7-2, and both teams have 8 hits. It's like, and it's like that's not happening anymore. I mean, Friday was actually even worse. We had one ball leave the infield for a hit, and it was Cuvier's game-winning double. The other run was scored on 2 bunt singles. So it's just, but we managing to stay in these games and keep that was also ballpark related. It was like very wind blowing and they couldn't score either. They kept everything in the air was just.
And by the way, I know we were talking trash about BC early in the year.
Good.
They're good.
They were hot coming in too. So.
Yep. They had won a couple series in a row as well in the ACC, and they were riding the hot wave as well. They were pitching well and they were hitting really well. So, hats off to this Miami.
Yeah, finding ways to win even when they don't play well, which is a big change from earlier in the year when they would play well and still manage to lose. You're like, we lose that game. That's not happening anymore.
The team was hot in the
BC is a borderline tournament team, so sweeping them on the road's big.
Yeah, 2023 they had their own.
No, I mean they were on the bubble this week. They're off of it now because we swept them. You can't get swept at home this late in the season.
Right. What's next now? We've got NC State. We've got a big.
NC State's another big one. They're coming off a sweep of Clemson.
Yeah.
And so that's
they're going to want to win a game.
Well, this is so just to level set where we are. We're now 12-9 in conference. Believe it or not, we've come all the way. Dug out of that hole with that winning streak. We were talking about, boy, it's going to take a long time to climb out this hole. Back-to-back sweeps will get you from a 3.
And by the way, we're not dismissing that stupid ass FIU loss in the midweek, but which you got to win that game. But I think that it's more important right now. We're focusing on ACC play, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, but even look, that was not. I was at that game and on the road. I paid money to go watch that fucking loss. Had to drive out to West Miami, damn it!
What are you doing? What are you doing on this?
I know, and it was like half Canes fans, but no, but look, I will say again, there's difference, right? That's a battle. FIU went and swept Western Kentucky, who's ranked last week. They had a good week, but no, that's not an excusable loss. Right? You can't be losing a game if you really want to elevate to like next level. You're talking about borderline host. That can be the difference when they start trying to slice the 16 team from the 17 team or whatever. But again, there's still improvement from earlier in the year. Last time we played FIU, they blew us off the field in the first inning. We didn't show up. This one went into extra innings and we could have ended it in the 9th potentially. We had a runner on Ogden was up with a runner on 3rd and 1 out and struck out. And that's the type of stuff that I'm more earlier. But we battled back. We were down in that game. We rallied to tie it and force extras. Should we be down against FIU? No, but there's still more coherence to how we're playing than earlier in the year when we played that FIU team at home a few weeks ago and got blown out.
Yeah, it's not a bad team. Not a bad little team.
No, it's not a bad team, but it's also we're improving. Even I guess one of the big things is our bad games are better now. We're still in the game. And, BC, like, if you tell me you're going to bunt twice for hits and the only other hit's a double, you're like, we lost. No, we won that game because we're staying in games now. And, yeah, eventually, like you said, like, if you're relying on, Cuvier hitting a fly ball that hooks around the pole to win every game, that's going to be a problem. Sure. We won 2 games over the weekend where he doubled, which was the only hit in the outfield, and he homered, which was the only RBIs, and that was it. Like, you're not going to consistently win. Like our pitching's doing great, but You can't expect them to hold everyone to 1 and 2 runs. Like, that's not going to happen. But we're staying in games because we're not making the dumb errors and all the stupid things that exacerbate your issues. And that's even that FIU game. We're in it in extra innings. And yeah, we lost, which obviously sucks. But you know, we didn't get. It's still, even our losses are better. And you know, like you said, baseball is a lot of. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. It's a game of inches, and when you get blown out, it's not a game of inches anymore. So the fact that we're in every game, we haven't been, like I said, we haven't been blown out since that Duke game we were at, where the inning imploded. Even that we were competitive to the late inning, and then imploded like that. So because there are games earlier in the year where, I mean, that FSU game we went to was just like, good God, right? I mean, that's not happening anymore, and that's big. But just to upset where we are, 27 and 18 in conference. I mean, overall, 9 games over 500, man. We have freaking recovered this. And then 12 and 9 in conference. Yeah, we were 3 and 9, and we were 4 and 9 in conference at one point.
Where are we right now in conference? Where are we as far as?
We're 12 and 9. We're in 8th place. Not a lot of opportunity to move up. We do have a bye in the ACC tournament now. Like, this is all like crazy because we were like in last place not too long ago. We were 4 and 9. We're now 12 and 9. So we're right in there. We talked about this, I think, was it last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, but everyone has, because the way the ACC is obviously more crowded now, they've added teams. So everyone gets one non-ACC out of conference. We always took ours against Clemson. I mean, not against Connecticut. So unlike most years where our next to last series is against, like, oh, we're playing New Haven State or what. No, it's all ACC. Not every ACC team has had that other series yet. So we've played less games than other teams. But if you look at 9 in the loss column, you know, North Carolina's 15 and 9, Georgia Tech's 15 and 9. That's the 3rd and 4th team. We're 12 and 9, so we just played 3 less games. So could potentially, I mean, you got to get up to top 4 to get double buys. Right now we're 8, but there's teams in front of us. You know, Clemson's 13 and 8. The schedules are it's only a game ahead of us. Duke is 14 and 10. They're technically ahead of us, but they have more losses. Louisville's also 12 and 9. So there's an opportunity to move up pretty easily, to move up 2 spots.
I think Louisville just beat FSU this weekend, right?
No, this is a tough conference. And there are opportunities to still move up. It's very weird because teams have played more. We're behind Duke. They're 14 and 10 conference. We're 12 and 9. They've played 3 less games because they haven't played their out of conference yet.
Right.
We beat them, obviously, so we have the tiebreaker. They're 1 more loss, but they're still ahead of us because they've won 2 more. So, but this is the big weekend because NC State is sitting there at 15 and 6. They're by far like kind of out in front and first. But if we can win that series, that'll help not only our conference record, but also
that's crazy.
Our RPI is 35 right now.
Right. I mean, this weekend, NC State started off ranked. Then they went through this little dip where they struggled. Then they got it together again. I don't know if they're ranked now or what, but
no, they're ranked.
They are? Okay. So, and then 15 and 6 in the conference is obviously.
Yeah, their RPI is 22 also.
So the funny thing is, if we were to sweep them, we'd have the same record in conference than they do. So it's kind of,
Well, since we sweep everyone now, after we sweep them, yeah. No, but do I expect it? Well, who the hell knows?
I don't know if I expect
everyone. We're sweeping everyone, so of course we're going to sweep them. No, but that's your point, right? Well, it's like everything is very tight. And since some teams have played 3 extra games, like you could get top 4 in the conference and getting a double by the ACC tournament not off the table. But also, flip side, you're playing NC State. They're really good. They're hot. They just beat up Clemson. You drop that, there's a bottom behind you.
Oh, they swept Clemson.
Yeah, no, they swept Clemson. Clemson, who right now is still projected as the number 2 overall seed.
That's crazy.
They swept them. No, I mean, these are like the ACC is really tough, and the bad teams aren't that bad.
No. Okay.
So behind us, if we look who's behind us, Virginia's at 11 and 10. They're behind us. Again, they've played more games. So we have a series at Charlottesville. But that's where the bye line is. We're the last team with a bye. So that's important to stay top 8 to at least get the 1 bye. But yeah, top 4 is not at all. We're talking about 1 or 2 games out of top 4 right now. So
yeah.
Fun times, man. And our guy is right there at 35. We'd pretty much be we'd definitely be a lock right now. Like we wouldn't be on the bubble, but with three weekend series left. If you win all three of them, you're definitely in. You win two, you're probably in now at this point. Earlier in the year, I was like, we got to win every series, but the 2 sweeps changes the math on that quite a bit. So, yeah, if you win 2 out of 3, you're definitely fine, I think. Even 1 out of 2 might do it.
Yeah.
If you don't get swept. You can't get swept.
Right. Stay competitive. Continue to try to ride this wave and win some big ball games.
We need Derek back, I think, by the postseason. We need another bat. He's that bat.
I agree 100%. I think it's important to have him back in the lineup, to have that added extra oomph in the lineup. You need guys that can drive in some runs, can hit the ball out, can do some things with their bat and not focus on how many times we can bunt with Mikey Torres or something like that and move guys over because you're playing a different game.
Yeah,
you're playing a different game. So,
and also it's just at some point, and I mentioned that I don't understand why BC was pitching to Cuvée so much. Like, he's getting all of the critical hits it's a disproportionate number of the critical hits he's getting now, which is great because we needed him to step up, and he's done that. He's playing like the All-American he was preseason.
Yeah.
But eventually they're going to be like, fuck that, I'm pitching to Tanner Smith. I'm just going to you're not winning this game. Because he allowed him to win 2 of those 3 games by himself at the plate. Like, obviously the pitching was the main reason they kept us in the game. But, you're sitting there, it's like a tie game in the 8th and Cuvé's up. You got 2 outs. You're throwing him stuff that he can double to score Galvin. It's kind of you should probably be pitching around him, Same thing on Sunday's game. It's just don't let this guy hit a homer, and he hits a homer. It's just at some point they're just going to start, not intentionally walking, although they've done that some this year. But just I'm not throwing anything near the zone that he can drive, and if he chases it, great. If he doesn't, he can take his base, and that's where we're going to really need Derek to come back and punish that stuff.
I agree.
Because I can't. I'm still shocked when people are still pitching to Cuvée right now. He's getting so many clutch hits for us.
He's woken up. His bat is woken up. Definitely.
His at bats are much better.
He's got way better approaches at the plate. Yeah.
No, he was struggling earlier. He was pressing too much. This is also part of the run. This is where the pitching helps your hitting too. We're now in these games. He doesn't feel the need to have to hit a 10-run homer every time he's up because we're down. Right? He's staying within himself a lot, and he's actually hitting more power too because he's doing that, which is how that works. You have better at bats, you hit more homers and more everything else, and he's a night and day from where he was a month ago, where he was legitimately just going out there to hacking and flailing at pitches, and really had some poor at bats. He's a different player now, and eventually I'm expecting teams to just pitch around him because it's just why are you throwing to this guy?
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. Anyways, we'll be there this weekend.
I'll be there Friday. I gotta go back to DC on Saturday, so
I'll be there Friday as well.
Be there Friday.
Saturday and Sunday, but I'll be there Friday for sure.
All right, cool. See you out at the line on Friday then.
And if you guys want to come out and hang out with us and drink some milkshake of the weekend.
Oh shit, we didn't. Okay, NC State. So the last time Duke was when they did the pimento, right?
Yeah, and then
they cheated. So because it's the same exact error. It's in the research trial.
Yeah, recently what they do, chicken and waffles for Georgia Tech.
Chicken and waffles, disgusting. Surprisingly, I thought it would. I was like, that one might actually be good. It was terrible. All right, so it's the same. It's the same calculus as the Duke series. They just didn't go. They didn't. They cheated and it was the Masters, and they didn't even do anything Duke related. So, what are we thinking here? So it's the same part of it's exactly the same area of the country. They're 10 miles apart or whatever the fuck. Duke and North Carolina are. So it's the same thing. We're going brisket or whatever. We went barbecue and
pulled pork. I don't know.
Yeah, all right. You go pulled pork. I'll go brisket. They've done the brisket before, and
it's at least so nasty.
Yeah. I mean, it should be. That's the whole point.
I know.
Snickerdoodle. What are you doing? That could be a real one.
That's a good one.
It's not supposed to be good. That's the point. You're making fun of the acting. It's supposed to be disgusting. You can't make it good.
Oh man, that's funny. Keep it locked here Monday nights for some Canes on deck as we will recap.
Yeah, we got F1 tomorrow. We're previewing the Miami GP's in town this weekend too. We got all sorts of crap going on in Miami.
A lot of stuff going on this weekend, so make sure you keep it locked here and follow us. But we'll be back next Monday night for Kings on Deck, and tomorrow night for hitting the Apex for F1
Yep.
coverage. See you guys soon. Later.
Yeah.